I'm going to have you turn to 2 Samuel. Oh, kids. Yeah, kids' life is dismissed. I was distracted by stuff.
Kids' life.
Super kids. Wow, is it Monday already? I feel like it's Monday. Woo! Okay, so 2 Samuel 6, verse 9 is what we're going to look at. If you would like to support us in your giving, if you're one of our online streamers there, you can click on the Tithely link to tithe to our church. 2 Samuel 6, for context here, King David wants to bring the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem. This is something he's wanted for a while. He wants God's presence, and the Ark of the Covenant very much symbolized God's presence, his covenant to his people. And so he wants to bring it back into Jerusalem. It's been away for some time. But in his haste and his desire to have God's presence there, he goes about it the wrong way. And a man dies because of it. So David leaves it in this place for a time. And in 2 Samuel 6, verse 9, it even says, David was afraid of the Lord that day and said, how can the ark of the Lord ever come to me? Do we ever have those moments in our life where we just think, I've done wrong, I've separated myself from God, how can he ever draw near me again? How can I ever go chase him again? How can I ever receive good from him again? His heart is still to bless. Even when we act foolish, when we make mistakes, if our heart is towards him, he will find a way. But right now, David didn't act obediently, and so he is now fearful of getting it wrong again. But when he hears that the house they left the ark in is being blessed, he knows he needs that ark in Jerusalem. He needs the symbolic presence of God that rests in that ark in Jerusalem. So David, he does his homework. He purposes in his heart to do it the right way this time. And they bring the ark into Jerusalem, and everyone rejoices. Well, almost everyone. Verse 14, wearing a linen ephod, David was dancing before the Lord with all his might. We got any dancers in this place? Anybody that ever go to the club that just, wedding, or maybe just while you're cleaning in the kitchen, cooking, whatever, a beat comes on and you're like, yes, I am a dancer. David is doing that. How many of you ever danced with all your might before? You put everything you had into it. That is what David is doing right now. Verse 15, while he and all Israel were bringing up the ark of the Lord with shouts and the sound of trumpets. And notice that linen ephod that it talks about. David doesn't dress up for this occasion. He dresses down. He does not wear his royal robes, but he wears the kind of Levi garment that a child would wear when introduced into the service of the tabernacle. In doing so, he makes it clear that this is not about him. This is about God. He humbles himself before the King of Kings. Verse 16, as the ark of the Lord was entering the city of David, Michal, daughter of Saul, watched from a window. And when she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, she despised him in her heart. David's wife has a problem with him. She doesn't like his humility. She doesn't like his leaping, the dancing, that he's making a scene, and she tells him so in verse 20. When David returned home to bless his household, Michal, daughter of Saul, came out to meet him and said, how the king of Israel has distinguished himself today, going around half naked in full view of the slave girls of his servants, as any vulgar fellow would. David said to Michal, it was before the Lord who chose me rather than your father or anyone from his house when he appointed me ruler over the Lord's people, Israel. I will celebrate before the Lord. I will become even more undignified than this, and I will be humiliated in my own eyes. But by these slave girls you spoke of, I will be held in honor. David's response, I love it so much. I have not begun to make a scene. I haven't begun to lower myself if it means worshiping God in this way. So now let's turn to Mark 10. Last week, if you were with us, we're walking through the life of Jesus in chronological order. And last week, we read how Jesus raised Lazarus back from the dead so that others would believe. That's what this has all been about, so that people would believe, that they would believe upon the Lord, that they would trust him, that they would make him Lord of their life. So today we talk about how certain people respond to belief in Jesus. And I'll ask before it's all over, how do you respond with that belief? John 11:54, just citing that as a reminder real quick last week. Jesus no longer moved about publicly. This is after he raised Lazarus from the dead. He no longer moved about publicly among the people of Judea. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the wilderness to a village called Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. So now we're in Mark 10, and today's story takes place on his way back to Jerusalem. The road they follow will take them through Jericho, which is where today's lesson takes place. On the way there, Jesus reminds them of what's to come. Remember, he's been talking about this for some time. He says, this is where it's headed. This is where we're going. This is the plan. And he makes sure that not the crowds, not the multitudes know, but that the disciples, the ones who are close to him, know. Mark 10, verse 32. They were on their way up to Jerusalem with Jesus leading the way, and the disciples were astonished, while those who followed were afraid. Again, he took the 12 aside and told them what was going to happen to him. We are going up to Jerusalem, he said, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him to death and will hand him over to the Gentiles, who will mock him and spit on him, flog him and kill him. 3 days later, he will rise. So a pretty intense bit of prophecy here. And the next part might come as a surprise to you. It always does to me when I read this, because it asks the age-old question when something bad happens around us. What about me? You know that when all these a bad thing happens near you, well, what about me? How does that affect me? Verse 35, then James and John, sons of Zebedee, came to him. Teacher, they said, we want you to do for us whatever we ask. What do you want me to do for you? He asked. They replied, let one of us sit at your right and the other at your left in your glory. You don't know what you're asking, Jesus said. Can you drink the cup I drink or be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with? We can, they answered. Jesus said to them, you will drink the cup I drink and be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with, but to sit at my right or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared. When the 10 heard about this, they became indignant with James and John. Jesus called them together and said, you know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus gives his disciples a reminder here that he, and by extension they, are here to serve, to be a servant. Jesus did not come to impose his will on people, but to live sacrificially so that people could know God. James and John show in that request that they are seeking honor, but Jesus says that honor comes when you walk in all humility, lowering yourself to the role of slave and servant the same way Jesus himself does. So we see this interaction. It's a bit of a story about humanity's pride. What about me? What do I get? How will I be glorified? How will I be honored? Where's my plaque? Where's my statue? God, I'm here walking with you, doing what you'd have me do. I hope there's a great reward in mind. I hope you got the best seat in the house for me when I get to heaven, because I feel I've earned it. And man, this was my story back in my 20s. I was very prideful, you guys. Probably my mom would also say my teens and my 20s. My wife would say still into my early 30s. No commentary in the back. I would. I especially, man, I'd fish for compliments, especially from my wife. Now, not so much. If I get a compliment from anyone other than my wife, because my wife does not give me compliments, never has. I'm just kidding. I can say that because she's not here and she won't yell at me or correct me. But now, guys, I have to do this heart check where I think, and I've been saying it more and more often, I'm just glad to be in the room where something good happened, whether that be someone received the word of God, where someone's day got better, where someone found joy, comfort, peace. If God used me or anybody near me to help do any of that, he gets the glory, period. It's not about anything good I did. It's about how great God is. So now we're going to go to Luke 19 for something that happens before we leave Jericho. While you're turning there, think that this prideful bit of James and John came while they were walking with Jesus. It came while they believe in him. Just because you're near God, just because you're in proximity of him, doesn't mean sin is not going to try to drag you back with desires of the flesh, or distract you, or shame you. So in Luke 19, we get to Jericho, verse 1. I love this story. I got to tell this story to my kids when they were little, and they loved it. I told them over and over again. We say, wee little man. Yep. Oh, nostalgia. All right, Luke 19. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. Zacchaeus has the status. He is someone. He's got power as a tax collector. He's got money, but he doesn't have everything. He still has a want. As a crowd begins to form, people jostle and begin to whisper and then shout, "There's Jesus. I see him. That's Jesus. He's here in our city. Have you heard about him? I was there when he fed the multitude. I heard about a time that he walked on water. I heard he made a lame man walk again." And all this talk, it makes Zacchaeus want. Don't ever forget that you just talking about what God has done for you, it's enough to make other people want God. Verse 3, he wanted to see who Jesus was. But because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. His want to see Jesus is hindered by a real world problem. It'd be easy to think, well, I guess I'll just see him next time. Maybe next time when the crowds are not as thick, maybe you'll have more time, or it'll just be better later. But Zacchaeus' want to see Jesus overrides his obstacle. And he has enough of a desire that he's going to do what it takes to make it happen. Verse 4, so he ran ahead. I want you to picture this in your mind. We see this powerful chief tax collector, this grown man with wealth and power running. I'm a grown man, guys. It takes a lot to make me run now. I'm not in the best of shape anymore. Like somebody has to be in trouble, or there's a fire, or it's something to make me move quickly. And so we see this man of prestige and power. We see him running down the street. That would turn some heads, right? People would go, "Where's the fire? What is happening right now? Why? Why?" And then they'd be even more confused when they see what he does next. He ran ahead and he climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. He wants to see Jesus so bad, it causes him to act foolish in the eyes of others. And it's that kind of reckless desire that gets God's attention. Verse 5, when Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." Those two words get me every time. I must. I must. I have to stay at the house of a man that would run ahead, that would look foolish in the eyes of others, that would climb a tree just because he wants to get a glimpse of me. He wasn't looking for an audience. He wasn't looking for a face-to-face. For him, it was just enough to see him. That's so the woman with the issue of blood. It's enough if I just touch the hem of his garment. These are people who aren't necessarily looking for that one-on-one time, but because they're willing to act out, they're willing to make a scene, they're willing to be foolish in front of God, he says, I see you. You have my full attention now. Jesus says, I must stay at your house. I must have a seat at your table. I must come. Verse 6. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, he is gone to be the guest of a sinner. We see that age-old thing happen. As soon as this beautiful moment happens, it's like Jesus is showing this man love that he absolutely needs it, and people will talk and be like, not him. No, Jesus, he does not qualify. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know this guy. He's terrible. He's terrible. You don't want to meet with him. And Jesus is like, maybe you didn't see him run ahead and climb the tree, but I did. But here's the thing about the pushback that Zacchaeus receives. He knows he's a sinner. He knows he's not worthy of Jesus. But this does not deter Zacchaeus, because the change is already being made as soon as Jesus looked at him and said, I must come. He says, verse 8, but Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I've cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham, for the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. So now we go back to Mark 10 for the rest of the story in Jericho. God sees when we're willing to make a spectacle of ourselves. He sees when we come and dance before him with all our might. He sees when we don't hold back anything to get a glimpse of him. Not in ways where we're chasing him that bring glory to ourselves, but in ways that simply say, I want you, God. I just want you. I want to be there when your glory passes by. I want to leap and dance, and I'll climb a tree if I have to. There's one more story that takes place in Jericho here. Mark 10, verse 46. Then they came to Jericho as Jesus and his disciples, together with a large crowd, were leaving the city. A blind man, Bartimaeus, which means son of Timaeus, was sitting by the roadside begging. You guys ever been near a large crowd before with people? Maybe you're at the state fair recently, or a concert or something. I know some of you have been there recently. Are crowds quiet things? No. There's like this constant rumble, right? This constant, just people talking, people walking. I mean, just me walking creates some sound. A whole bunch of people create a whole bunch of sound, and you got them talking and saying this and that. So this whole crowd is passing by. And here's what I love about this story. Bartimaeus might not have sight, but he clearly had excellent hearing. Verse 47, when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. No specific person is attributed with telling Bartimaeus that Jesus is here. No one came up to him and be like, hey guys, Jesus is here. That's not what we see happen. It was the crowd that did it. Someone in the crowd saying his name at some point. Someone asking Jesus a question or trying to get Jesus' attention. And this isn't the first time Bartimaeus has heard the name of Jesus based on the context of the verse. Bartimaeus has clearly been listening for a while now, same as other people. The word has gotten out about this Jesus person, and Bartimaeus has been paying attention. He shouts of Jesus' lineage, the son of David, and he believes that Jesus is able to show him mercy in his affliction. And we would like to think that people would part for him, that someone would take his arm and would lead him to Jesus because Bartimaeus has heard what this guy can do. Bartimaeus has heard that this might be the Messiah prophesied, foretold of. And that other people, it would have clicked with the crowd that, hey, you're exactly the kind of person that Jesus came for. That's not what happens. In fact, they yell at him for daring to get loud and cause a scene. Verse 48, many rebuked him and told him to be quiet, but he shouted all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. Can you imagine if that's what prayer meetings were like when we come to prayer? Anybody have a request? I'm not well. Shut up! We don't want to hear that nonsense. That's what just happened right here. This man has said, Jesus, I need your help. And the crowd went, now! Be quiet. Stop it. Stop having a need. Man, we're terrible sometimes. People, we can react without that understanding of who God is. If this crowd that was following Jesus, if they truly knew him, if they understood what he was doing, just like we saw with James and John, if they knew what they were asking there right then, they'd never, if they truly understood the servanthood of Jesus, who he is, what he's about, what he's there for, they never would have asked that question. This crowd never would have shushed him. Michael never would have said, oh, I can't believe you would humiliate yourself before God that way. Many rebuked him, told him to be quiet, but he shouted all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus stopped, just like he did with Zacchaeus, and said, call him. So they called the blind man, and now the crowd does an about face. Cheer up, on your face, he's calling you. How fickle we all can be. I do this all the time in parenting. where I'll call or I'll yell at my kids sometimes when I see them doing something I don't think they should be doing. And then they'll go, "Mom told us to." And I'll have to be like, "Oh, okay. Well, if your mom said it was okay, then I guess it's fine thing." I love that my children sit in the front row. Thank you. That's great. Every pastor should have hecklers. That's what we see here, though. We see, stop yelling, you're bothering Jesus. And then suddenly, oh, Jesus wants to be bothered by the likes of you. Oh, you're actually one of the reasons he came. Oh, he purposed his steps to walk by you at this moment in your life when your faith had grown by the words of others that you'd heard, and you received them so much so that in this moment it gave you the courage to cry out to him as he passed by. Oh, don't be discouraged by people who try to keep you from receiving all Jesus has for you. There are going to be a lot of naysayers out there. They don't know your story. They don't know what you've been through, and they don't know the many ways that Jesus has sent people around you to speak into your life. And at times, I believe a lot of those people don't even know it's happening at the time. They were just part of the whispers in the crowd. But God had a plan the whole time. He does not give up on you. And for many of us, he's just waiting for you to cry out with righteous belligerence. Verse 50, throwing his cloak aside, he jumped to his feet and came to Jesus. Here's where we see Bartimaeus' second leap of faith. The first one was just the shouting and continuing to shout, regardless of whatever people say. The second is the throwing off of his cloak. It's an easily missed detail, but it's not to be ignored here. The cloak was part of his identity. It marked him as a beggar. It also would have been one of his few possessions, but an important one that would give him comfort and warmth. And before his circumstance has changed, while he is still blind, before anything amazing has had a chance to happen, he throws it aside on his way to Jesus. That cloak is his past. Jesus is his future. Hebrews 12, verse 1, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. It is easy to lose heart when running towards God, especially when people around you are not going to make it easy for you. They're going to try to tear you down. They're going to try to say, no, you're not worthy. You look stupid. Can't believe you'd waste your time with that. That's dumb. That's not what he wants. But Jesus endured the same. He endured the same taunts, the same ridicule, the same persecution. And he did it. He did it for you. He did it for me. And he says, in this world there will be trouble. He says in the Beatitudes in Matthew 5 that yes, this is not going to be easy, that you will endure persecution as you follow after God. But the thing is, we're supposed to keep running towards him anyway, despite what the crowd says, despite what anybody, even the people close to you. I still look at that passage in 2 Samuel and I go, that was his wife. That was David's wife that just took him down, tried to speak against him like that. I could not believe you would worship God that way. And he's just like, oh, you haven't seen anything yet. Don't let anything stop you from throwing off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Fix your eyes on Jesus and do not lose heart. Verse 51. What do you want me to do for you? Jesus asked him. I love that it's so simple. The blind man said, Rabbi, I want to see. I can't help but picture him here, this excited man, like someone who just got called and the price is right. What do you want? I want to see. He's just so happy to be here. He knows what's coming. He's thrown off the cloak. He's got an audience in front of the King of Kings, this guy he's only heard about. He's never seen, he's never glimpsed, but he's heard, he's believed, he's received it, and it's driven him to this action. It's driven him right in front of Jesus. In verse 52, go, said Jesus. Your faith has healed you. Immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus along the road. And don't miss that. Jesus told him, okay, you can go. Your faith healed you. But Bartimaeus does not go his own way. He follows Jesus. His temporary Jesus encounter led to permanent discipleship. We just read a story about two men who have heard about Jesus. Both are seeking him, both purpose to get an audience or just a glimpse him. And it takes effort for them to find him, for them to see him. One has to leave his occupation to run ahead to climb a tree and cause a scene. And through his efforts, he's forgiven. And the other has to listen intently and cause a scene by crying aloud, and his sight is restored. But both, the end result is the same. They got to be up close and personal with Jesus. But in order to get to him, they had to leave behind all sense of propriety and forget about what people thought and be willing to be mocked and yelled at because they simply wanted Jesus and believed that he could do what he said he could do. You know, the healing the brokenhearted, the recovery of sight to the blind, the freedom to the captives. But both times as these people are making a scene, Jesus saw them. Both times Jesus stopped and beckoned them closer. And the thing is, guys, I see this in my humanity. If I were Jesus here, if I were on my way back to Jerusalem, where I knew death awaited me, because remember, he just prophesied that earlier, I might have other things on my mind. Others of you, as you came to church this morning, as we entered into worship, as we opened the Word, other things probably flit through your mind. Things that are happening later today, things that, at work, stresses of this world, the cares of this world, they weigh heavily on us. I would think that would weigh heavily. What Jesus is about to go through, it would weigh heavily on him. But Jesus had these men on his mind. These men who were willing to step out of their comfort zone and believe. Never let the crowd stop you. Do not let the naysayers keep you from climbing the tree, from rushing forward, from acting foolish by the world's standards. Be willing to do what it takes to get to Jesus. How do you respond? How do you respond in your own personal walk, with your own belief, especially when you see other Christians? Is it with a tight, put-together royal robes? What are you going to do for me, God? Or are you a scene maker of the most humble kind that gets crazy? Maybe it looks a little foolish. Are you Jesus is on the other side? Well, then I'm up that tree. I'm stumbling forward. I'm doing anything to get in front of him, and I don't care how it looks because I've not begun to celebrate and run to him with faith like a child. Guys, that's the kind of church I want us to be, the kind of church that just goes after him with everything, that leaves behind all the ways that we think that church should look. Again, I've had so many people, when I ask them to come to church, their first thing is, well, I don't have anything good to wear. I'm like, don't worry about that. You just come as you are. God will take care of the rest. It doesn't matter how you come to God. It matters that you come to him. And I'm so sorry if I or any of us or anybody at any other church have ever had a hand in being part of the crowd in the negative way, where we say, oh, no, you can't come to God that way. No, it's not time for you yet. You gotta get yourself together first. You gotta play the part. You gotta say the right words. You gotta do the right things, and then you'll be welcome. That's just not how it is. We see that so much with Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus, especially his testimony there, it's like clearly he must have cheated someone in the past to make that statement. Anybody that I've cheated, I'll pay back 4 times the amount. He didn't get right and then come to God. He saw God, got the invitation to come, and then transformation happened. I believe that's everything that happens when God gets a hold of us. He transforms us from the inside out. I can't transform anybody. I can't. It's that whole, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I hope that all my kids choose the right thing, but I can't force them to. I'd like to. I've tried, but I can't. But I know that God has good for them and for each of you. And I do this week, I pray that you run to him this week, that you worship him with reckless abandon, that you dance before him with all your might, metaphorical and literal, if you can get down. May the Lord bless you and keep you today. May he make his face shine on you and be gracious towards you. May you understand what we've been talking about today when I say that may he turn his face towards you, that he sees you right where you're at in this life. And I pray that he finds you up a tree. I pray that he finds you calling out in a place of spiritual blindness, just saying, God, I don't know the next step. All I know is that I want you. I need you. I believe you understand and receive that his face is towards you right now. And that he gives you peace. In Jesus' name, amen.